everybody. My name is Strapp. I was born here in Wilmington and then popped over to Raleigh, came back for college, moved back to Raleigh for work, and now Jim's dragging me back here again. I don't have a fancy title like Matt did. We're just going to talk about selling tech with tech.
Co-founder is your title. Fancy. Yeah.
That was a good one. I'm not a public speaker. I hate PowerPoint, so hopefully it doesn't suck. You ready now? All right. If you can't tell, I am a dad. I like dad jokes. I have a daughter who's a caniac. She's almost 2 years old. I have 2 dogs, love fishing, and I've been married for about 3 years, so that's the personal stuff. On the professional side, I've been in software sales, B2B software sales now for a little over a decade. I started as an individual contributor, a BDR, at a company called Insight Software. It was 10 million in revenue when I joined, and 6.5 years later, we'd grown it to 500. And at that point, I was a glutton for punishment, so I wanted to go back and do more early stage stuff. So I've done two early stage AI companies since then. And as a passion project, I built and started my own bootstrapped sales tech company called Champly, and I will shamelessly plug them towards the end of the conversation today. But very passionate about it and excited to tell you more. But Matt did a good job with explaining what the sales tech stack looked like, and we didn't collaborate on these slides or anything, but we think about it similarly, apparently. So I think about the sales tech stack as getting opportunities, managing opportunities, and then ultimately closing opportunities, and managing customers and retaining them long term. So in that, there's all sorts of different things, but the big ones when you think about getting ops is data providers. Who are we going to reach out to and how do I reach out to them? Some sort of outreach software like a Sales Loft or an Outreach. There's several other ones now too. Marketing tech, a phone, maybe a dialer. And then when you have your opportunities, there's things like the conversational intelligence tools, your CRMs, your high spots that help you with enablement and so forth. And then you've got on the other side some legal tech, RFP software, a ticketing system for customer service and things like that. So when I started at Insight Software, we had nothing. We had Salesforce, we had a cubicle, a desktop computer that I couldn't take home, a phone, and we still managed along just fine. But then we fast forward a couple years and we were purchased by private equity and they showed us what this best-in-class tech stack looked like. And a couple years ago, it looked like a lot of the names that Matt was talking about, and they've obviously grown their platforms to become more valuable and impactful, but the original value propositions, they've kind of aged out a little bit, and the things in sales are changing. So there's one category here that I think is evolving more quickly than the other ones today, and I'm curious if you all agree with me. So if you think the category that's changing the most is getting opportunities, raise your hand. All right? If you think it's managing opportunities, raise your hand. And if you think it's closing opportunities. You know what's funny is like 2 and 3 were pretty tied. I think it's 1 from what I've seen. So if you think about why, and this is just my opinion, and I can back it up with some data too. If you look at the open rates for emails, the conversion rates for meetings and things like that, they have historically, or they have dropped tremendously over the past 1.5 years. It is very, very difficult for BDRs and AEs to book meetings in today's environment. When I was a BDR, I could pretty reliably say that if I sent 100 outreach messages and this many of them were emails and this many of them were calls, that I would book 1 meeting. And then of that 1 meeting, 4 of them would convert, or 1 out of 4 would convert to an opportunity. And then of that opportunity, we would have X amount that closes. And that was what had this very reliable productivity model that people could say, and they could say with headcount, okay, throw this many bodies at it and we can get to this revenue number. That is much more challenging than it is today. And I think a lot of it starts at the beginning in getting opportunities. And why is that? I think one that is kind of technical is that there are spam restrictions that are getting stricter and stricter and stricter every day. Some of these are internal, like their own IT teams have set these up, but Google and Yahoo are also protecting their users from getting spammed because it's hurting their user satisfaction. So this has become a big topic at the beginning of this year, and people are having to combat it. And there are serious repercussions for not being compliant with a lot of these new regulations. They will shut down your entire domain if you get flagged a very minimal amount of times in Google. So the risks are very, very high, and you can't come back from that either. So if your business is sending out 1,000 emails a day, X amount of them get flagged, you have to create a whole new domain if you start to, if you get marked as spam, which is not easy to get out of. I call the next one quick question fatigue. Funny enough, when I was a BDR, quick question was the subject line that we used that had the best conversion rate. Since then, and I flip to the other side and I get all of the prospecting emails, I see 12 quick question subject lines today. So it's not about the subject line necessarily, but it's about everybody sending the same blanket, shitty, non-personalized content that an executive is not going to think about twice. And I guarantee you, if they see the quick question subject line, they just delete it. Another reason is what I like to call shotgun approach. So with my reps, I always, in previous days, I said we're gonna spend X amount of our time doing a shotgun approach. This is something that isn't very tailored. It's something we can do en masse and we can get a lot of volume out the door. And then we're gonna take another section of our time, we're gonna do a sniper approach. It's gonna be the opposite, more quality over quantity. And in the past, the shotgun approach worked as well as the sniper approach did, and we tried to balance the two. It doesn't work anymore because of similar reasons. So what do we do about it? The spam restrictions, I'm not super technical. I've had people help me with this, but being intentional about it, if you don't know what to do, what to set up on the back end and the restrictions and best guidelines, I would talk to somebody that does, and there's a lot of LinkedIn folks that are building businesses around this very topic, so there are people that can help. I am not one of them. Quick question fatigue. This one is a topic that a lot of people have already talked about, but it's just becoming more and more important. So you want to hyper-personalize the messaging and also work on more of a sniper type approach and focus on quality over quantity, and that you're reaching out to the right people that is in your very succinct ideal customer profile. So that goes into the next one on the sniper approach, being very serious about your ideal customer profile and understanding who the best person is for you to reach out to and be able to back that up with data and a good understanding of what your current customer base is. So I haven't talked a second about tech yet, but there are...
When you stand under the speaker, it gives a little feedback. So look above, you're under the speaker. So if you can find a way to not block, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, there are tech solutions that can help you with these categories. I still think the hyper-personalization of messaging is extremely human dependent at this point in time. I think it's probably the most popular topic. People want to try to replace humans and BDRs and AEs with solutions that can do that by scraping the web and finding information. It just still doesn't sound human, and a lot of times there's hallucinations with it, and I have yet to see a product that does a good job actually removing the human in content creation, at least at scale. Now, it can help the human be more efficient in creating content, but I don't think we're there yet. I think we may get there, but it's not happening yet. And one of the solutions that is trying is called Autobound. So if you're curious, you can go look at it. They're trying to do just that. They have a solution. I wouldn't use it yet. I did their free trial. It's worth looking at. It's pretty cool, but I wouldn't trust it in actually reaching out to customers. The too much shotgun approach is where I'm going to focus for the rest of the time. So we've got 3 things: Warmly, KeyPlay, and Clay. And these are all solutions that I have used in the past.
Yeah, let's go back. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. This I am very, very passionate about. And on every slide, there's a QR code. So if anything I say interests you, you can scan this and it'll take you to their website. KeyPlay is a very young company, so I think they're 10 employees or less, but I found them through a friend when we were trying to think about our ideal customer profile and get very, very detailed. So when I talk to other founders, I like to put this in the context of Tam Sam Sam. Like most companies today, when they think about their ICP, they're actually taking a TAM approach, and they're saying like, okay, if the company is in this industry, has this tech stack, is this size, they're my perfect customer. But typically that yields thousands and thousands of accounts for their reps to go after. And in reality, those thousands of accounts aren't all gonna be great customers. So I wanted at my previous job, as just an exercise, to bring that down to what I would consider my SOM ICP, my top 100 accounts. And we did a lot of things that were beyond those typical demographics. The example for us was we were looking at things like, okay, did they add a chatbot on their website in the past 3 months? Do they have a person that works there with this exact title that was a pretty niche and unique title? And many, many other things that you wouldn't find in a normal Zoom info or data provider. And we actually found a company that can scrape websites and do just that and help score your accounts in a very detailed manner. And it's called KeyPlay. And it really helps with the AEs and BDRs to understand what they're, just spend their time more efficiently. We took their thousands of accounts down to 100. We ultimately converted 30% of those 100 accounts in 6 weeks after giving them to the reps. And prior to that, our success rate was like less than 1% of outreach. Warmly, also a very new company. They're probably 2 years old if I'd have to guess, but also very, very cool. So they're purpose-built for the SMB, and they are a chatbot and proactive outreach solution. So think like Drift, but even more sales specific. And it sits on your website, and it can have an AI chatbot that follows the buying patterns and then will proactively serve up content or questions to the potential buyer that's on the website. And they can also find patterns in saying like, okay, if this person navigates from this page to this page, or if they spend this much time on this piece of content, then it's somebody we know we want to talk to. It will ring the rep, and the rep will actually come up live on the website, so you can grab the right people at the right time. I haven't seen anything like that today, so I was very, very impressed with Warmly, and we're actually partnered with them at Champly and are working on potentially adding their chatbot into our tech too. They can, another thing that's important about them is they can surface first-party intent data, which is scoring your people and saying like, hey, they have this propensity to buy based on their actions of your website. That is, if you're familiar with 6 Sense, one of their big value propositions as well. And 6 Sense is minimum 50K, usually 6 figures a year, and Warmly is more like 5. So you can also work on some cost consolidation with them as well. Clay. So in thinking about making your BDRs as efficient as possible, what most BDRs spend the most time doing, if they're doing the correct sniper approach, is research. And they're going to several different websites to find information. They find their contact information on Zoom Info. They may also cross-reference on Lucia. Matt, I don't know how many pieces of tech they use, but they'll look at Crunchbase for funding information, maybe Bombora for intent information, but a lot of times BDRs will use 6, 7, 8 data sources for research in their jobs. And what Clay does, this is another cost consolidation tool, but also more efficient, is they link in all of those different types of data sources, and they have their own APIs. So not only do you have to pay for every single one of those solutions for your BDRs to use, which can get very, very expensive, they can now see it all in one place as well. So they can look up just one account, one contact, and understand all of that information across the account in one place. And you can actually grab contact information out of their tool as well, because they are linked to ZoomInfo and have a partnership, so you can scrap ZoomInfo or whatever data provider you're using as well. And we're also talking about like a 5K price tag. So wanted to give you guys some options on ways you can consolidate tech, make it easier for your folks to actually operate, take the tech stack down, but also make it a lot more cost effective as well. All right, well, this kind of, based on the first exercise, this doesn't make sense based on my opinion, but my personal opinion based on what I've seen is that these two categories actually get largely ignored, because all of the conversation that I hear is how do we replace the VDR and the pipeline gen activities. This is what I hear time and time again. It's the hot topic right now, and I don't really understand why that's what I hear the most, because the latter two categories actually have measurable impact on your close rates, your sales cycle lengths, and your customer retention, which is something that actually shows up on the P&L and can have a significant impact there. So that's where I wanted to focus. And when...
Yeah, go back to the barrel.
Do I just keep walking up?
Yeah.
So when I was at Insight, we first identified this challenge in our sales cycles. We had 6+ month sales cycles, and we were working with all sorts of different stakeholders, and we were sending all of this information over email. We would constantly have our buyers say, hey, where's the latest version of our proposal? Can you send me that meeting recording again? Where are the notes from this? Because it was just buried in their inboxes where they got 100 emails a day. We wanted to take a better approach, a single pane of glass that every single stakeholder within the deal can work in. And what this is taking is the form of a microsite, or what people are starting to call digital sales rooms. So what we did, we built this platform, we've used this platform, is that in these semi-complex to complex deals, we now operate through one customized website, and we send a link to the prospect. They can share with whoever they want. It's always updated in real time, so they don't have to worry if it's outdated information. And then on the rep side, you also get analytics on the back end, so you can see who's looking at what, when they're looking at it. And for me, it's a lot easier to forecast deals, because if a rep tells me that, hey, this deal's gonna come in this month, but then I go look in Champly and they haven't even been on the site in 2 months, like I'm gonna question the validity of that forecast 100%. The flip side, if somebody's poking around on the website all the time, they're sharing it with a ton of people, I feel good about them being a champion, and I know that I want to focus my time with that prospect more as well. So this is a sample of what one of the sites looks like. You have a video, you have a quote from Devin, you've got all of his contact information. You can book a meeting with Devin straight from here. You can lock the sites if there's any sensitive information, so not just anybody can see it, but this is now where your prospect goes for any content that they need related to the deal. I mentioned the back-end analytics, and if you scan that code, you can get some more information. And this is also, everything I've shown you today is cost-effective, Champly included, $25 a month to give it a go, and we'll be happy to help you out getting some sites built. Thank you.